Crazy Horse was a great Indian leader who fought the Americans when they were expanding westward. He was a great warrior and forager. As a matter of fact, Crazy Horse is right over there. Crazy Horse was very skilled at what he did. He led his fellow Indian brothers to fight the Americans who were expanding westward, and his name was Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse was born in Cha-O-Ha in 1842 and died September 5th, 1877, at approximately the age of 36. The cause of death was a bayonet wound, and he was married to Black Buffalo Woman, Black Shawl, and Nellie Larrabee. I'm assuming at different times. His nicknames were Curly and Light Hair. He fought in the battles of Fetterman Fight, Battle of the Rosebud, and Battle of the Little Bighorn. His name literally means his horse is crazy, and he was a Native American war leader who took up arms against the United States federal government to fight against encroachments on the territories and way of life of the Lakota people. 4 months after surrendering to the U.S., troops under General George Crook in May 1877, Crazy Horse was fatally wounded by a bayonet-wielding military guard. While allegedly resisting imprisonment at the Camp Robinson in present-day Nebraska, he ranks among the most notable and iconic of Native American tribal members and was honored by the U.S. Postal Service in 1982 with a 13-cent Great Americans Series postage stamp. Crazy Horse was most notably known for his stand against the Americans who were expanding westward. They were trying to take his land, but he believed that the land belonged to no one, but rather belonged to the land itself. He wanted to preserve the land of the Lakota people, the tribe he was a part of, and keep it for the future of the earth.
Oh, what is up, Crazy Horse? How are you?
Crazy Horse. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. And first question I want to ask you for the show is, what's your tribe's name?
My tribe's name, we are the Lakota tribe, alright? You're the best Indian tribe, so don't even try.
Okay. So, what's this whole thing about? What's this whole little bighorn thing? What's that all about, dude?
It was a battle, okay? I'm trying to preserve the land for the land itself. I'm trying to keep nature safe. The Americans just keep expanding westward. What am I to do? That's to fight.
That's the only thing you can
Fight
do.
for what I believe in.
But one thing that I can tell you is that we got another special guest coming up. A little someone. And his name, General George Custer.
No.
That's Brigham Man. That's Brigham Man.
No, he's not here.
Alright guys, we got General George Custer coming on set.
No, not this guy. My mortal enemy.
Alright, so General George Custer, let's hear your side of the story. But
Alright.
before I ask you that, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm just chilling, in my little cabin. Well, here's my side of the story. Well, I was just trying to, farm my plants, and then this kid, Crazy Horse, whatever he calls him, comes up to me, grabs my shovel, throws it away in the trash. He starts beating me up. So what do? I get an army on him.
Well, apparently,
The land-
he said that you're trying to expand westward and disrespect his land. That is not his land, but the Earth's land.
It wasn't his farm. It wasn't his farm.
It was Earth's farm, bro.
It was my farm though. I own the property. I paid for it.
You can't own property, all right? Property belongs to itself.
Not my books, tough guy.
All right.
One of these days,
All right, settle down.
you're going down.
Settle down.
I have
to
no
get
army.
security on here if you keep hustling everybody up here. Roughing us up.
The difference between me and you, I have something worth fighting for.
He stands up for all of his Indian sisters and brothers.
I'm
He's
taking a stand
against the man.
Well, I'm taking a stand for all farmers, tough guys.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
Good riddance.
Alright, sorry about that. That's unfortunately that is all the time we got. Thanks for
Anytime, man. Thanks for the time machine, dude. I'll see you.
See you. Alright, that's the end of the show. I'd like to see you next week for the next episode of Heroes from the Past. Yeah. Alright, cut that.
Crazy Horse was resisting efforts to force his tribe onto reservations. He fought alongside Sitting Bull and others in the American Indian Wars and was instrumental in the defeat of George Armstrong Custer's. After surrendering to federal troops in 1877, he was killed amid rumors of a planned escape. Since his violent and controversial death, Crazy Horse, or Tashunka Witko, has become almost a mythical figure of the Great Plains Indian Wars. The place and date of his birth are uncertain, but he was probably born in the early 1840s near Beer Butte on the Belle Fourche River in South Dakota. His father was a medical man of Oglala subtribe. His mother, a Brule. There has been much speculation about the origin of the name Crazy Horse, but most historians now agree that his father had the same name. As a youth, he was known as Curly, but acquired the father's name after proving himself in combat. Did you know the Crazy Horse Monument in South Dakota has been under construction since 1948? When it is completed, it will be the world's largest sculpture. He was below average height, his body lithe, his hair and complexion lighter than that of most Indians. Various photographs bear his name, but most have been discredited, and probably none is genuine. Except for his last days near Fort Robinson, Nebraska, he was out of reach of frontier photographers. His first encounter with U.S. soldiers was on the Old Oregon Trail, July 25, 1865, where he acted as a decoy to draw soldiers out of their defenses. During the following year, when soldiers marched up to the Bosman Trail to build forts, Crazy Horse honed his skills as a guerrilla fighter and studied the ways of his military adversaries. In December 1866, when his tribe and the Cheyenne combined to challenge Fort Phil Kearny, Crazy Horse's daring as a leader of the decoy brought Lieutenant Cole William J. Fetterman and 80 men into an ambush that became known as the Fetterman Massacre. During the following decade, Crazy Horse joined Sitting Bull in an unyielding determination to defend the Black Hills and resist reservation control. When the U.S. Army mounted a three-pronged military operation in 1877 to drive the Free Plains Indians into reservations, Crazy Horse confronted the column led by General George Crook at Roseburg Creek, June 17th. He concentrated his warriors against weak spots in Crook's line, fighting hand to hand at times to win the day. After the battle, the victors rode over to the Little Bighorn to join Sitting Bull's large encampment of his tribe in the Cheyenne. On the 25th, General George A. Custer and Crazy Horse and Gall, a chief of the Hunkpapa Sioux, led their warriors in a pincers attack that quickly enveloped Custer's divided cavalry and wiped it out. Other military forces pursued the Indians, eventually driving Sitting Bull into Canada. Crazy Horse and his followers attempted to hold out in remote areas of the Yellowstone country, but soldiers hunted them relentlessly. On May 6, 1877, he gave himself up and spent the summer near Fort Robinson, awaiting the assignment to a reservation that had been promised him for surrendering. The events affecting Crazy Horse during the long summer were imbued with elements of classic tragedy. Deceptions, betrayals, and false rumors engulfed him. He was disliked by some of the older Indian leaders, and because of his popularity among the young warriors, rumors spread that he was planning an outbreak. When on September 5th he was arrested, he offered no resistance at first, but when he saw that he was to be locked in a guardhouse, he struggled with his captors and was stabbed to death. From the day of its occurrence, this incident has been described in several versions, all adding to the mystique of Crazy Horse. All in all, Crazy Horse was a great man who fought for what he believed in. He took a stand when no one else would, and he led his men and was almost victorious until George Crook was a crook, and he was a bad guy, basically, is what I'm trying to say. See ya. Yeah. Crazy Horse cemented himself in U.S. history when he managed to put up one of the strongest fights against the Americans who wanted his land. Though he never considered it his land, but rather land that belonged to itself. Even so, he was willing to fight with his life to preserve it in an attempt to keep nature safe. A monument dedicated to him was carved out in the mountains of South Dakota, not too far from the Mount Rushmore, proving his importance in American history. The Americans had just recently set up their new government under the Constitution of Independence, but they wanted more land, so they planned on expanding westward, even though it was known to them that the Indians resided there. Crazy Horse would not have this, however. He fought against the Americans expanding westward and was put up one of the biggest fights in that time period.
As you can see, Crazy Horse was a very valued warrior and a leader in his tribe. He was a very great man who took a stand against the people who thought were doing wrong, the Americans, who were expanding westward and destroying his way of life. So let's just give a hand to Crazy Horse.
Dropping and no stopping us when we poppin', ay. We do that.